So it's the last week of July. Another Algonquin backcountry canoe trip. Going in at the Kiosk access point. It's me and Mike, each in our pack boats. Absolutely perfect weather. It's about 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Blue sky, really calm, almost like barely a breeze. So we just got to paddle Kiosk Lake and make our way to Maple Creek. Our campsite tonight is going to be on Maple Lake. So we got about 12 or 13 kilometers to paddle and 2.8 kilometers of portage, 6 portages. And it's going to be a 4 or 5 hours of travel before we get to the camp. But it's nice and early, so we're in no rush. And we're not going to fish on Kiosk because I can't remember what it is. There's some invasive species that we're supposed to clean our boats before we move on to another lake, that sort of thing. So we'll just avoid fishing altogether on this lake and save it for the creek or for Maple. We got pretty much perfect looking weather for the start of our trip. We're on Kiosk access point and making our way towards Maple Creek.
This is our construction holiday trip. Last time we were on here was choppy waters, and it was me and John in a broken kayak canoe. That was fun. You might remember that from 2 trips ago, or at least 2 trips for me. That was I don't know, he'll put footage if he wants. And that's it, it's a beautiful day. It's like absolutely stunning. No haziness from the forest fires, no nothing. It's just beautiful, calm waters. Can't complain. I think we're going on Maple. We got about 4 hours of travel time, I'm guessing. Instead about 13 kilometers of paddling and about 2.5, 3 of portaging. It's gonna be a fun day. Oh man, I'm so happy to be back here.
So last time Mike was on Kiosk was at the end of our, I think it was an early June trip, or maybe it was a June trip. Yeah, I think it was an early June trip, where me and him were in the old lightweight canoe, and the yoke broke on it. So, that canoe sort of has a lot of twist to it even when it's solid. So without the yoke, which is a big structural point, it was pretty bad. And on the way out, this lake was just all wind and waves. So it made for a nice sketchy little paddle. This is definitely a lot calmer. After a nice lazy paddle on Kiosk Lake, we're coming into the beginning of Maple Creek. It starts us right off with a 900-meter portage. I've done it a couple times, but I have no recollection of what it's like. I thought my boat felt super heavy. It was suction cupped to the... Alright, first portage of the trip. A little bit heavier than normal because I got the full kitchen tent, my mock hammock, which is much heavier than all my other sleep systems, and a week's worth of food. And that was Mike's ass.
That's my ass.
So like I said, it's signed as a 700 something, but Jeff's map says it's actually a 9 something. So we'll see how it goes. My first time GoProing, recording, and portaging. Seems relatively simple.
pretty lucky this year. Well, this trip anyway. I think I've got a 55-pound backpack. Life is good.
Oh jeez, I'm like, what's behind me?
Just my fishing rod.
Sorry?
Just my fishing rod.
Oh. End of the 1 kilometer. It's a bit of uphill, but nothing spectacular, so it's pretty standard 1 kilometer portage.
End of portage 1. Yeah. There's my backup right on the tip of the boat there in case any deer flies show up. Yeah, there we go.
Really couldn't ask for better weather than this to start off the trip. And the fact that there's been no bugs at all so far, and end of July, is pretty amazing.
Little spot you're on right now, I'm like, that looks like somewhere.
I have to go with more momentum. I was trying to do it without touching any rocks. You almost have to point a bit into the bush and so let the rocks push you over a bit.
Yeah.
Portage. Should be 190 meters. got to the next portage. Maple Creek. I think it's another short one, I think.
Not the most solid. Yeah. I think this time around it's like pudding instead of grease.
Right.
Oh yeah. Hey? Oh.
How's it going? Oh yeah. Hey.
What are we doing?
Good yourself?
Not bad.
Hey, how's it going?
Go ahead.
We've really just been taking it easy on the creek here. It's just perfect. There's, the water's nice and high, but not so much that the current's like hard to paddle against at all. It's just really nice and quiet. Tiny bit of a breeze, no bug. Next portage on Maple Creek. It should be about a 600, still a little over 600 meter. And it's Maple Creek to Maple Creek. We're basically going up the creek the whole time today until we get to Maple Lake.
This is the 600 or 430. Not sure what John said. It's beautiful out here. There's like no bugs. Or barely any. I think I counted like 10 mosquitoes so far. It's absolutely nuts.
So there's a campsite at the end of that 600 meter portage that we just did, which is absolutely awful. Like, I'd hate to have to stay on that campsite. The next one, it's a tiny paddle now, and then we have an 800 meter. And there's a campsite at the beginning of that portage, which we've stayed at in the past. And it's a pretty nice site. For a site that's on a portage, I like it. This is the last big portage of the day. It's about an 800 meter. Still on Maple Creek. We have one more after this, and then we'll be on Maple Lake. Here's the little rapids that are the last portage that we have to go around between us and Maple Lake. I believe it's 130 meter. That's funny. Even though I knew it was short, when I turned the corner, I was still surprised. I'm like, oh, the end is here.
Yeah. Beautiful day.
Yeah, it's perfect. So we just finished our last portage, threw some lures on the fishing rods. I'm having a bit of a snack, filling up on water. And we got to make our way out through this little channel into the main part of Maple Lake. We got our camp spot for the night. It's not the campsite we wanted. The one we wanted is actually where you can see across the way. There's a canoe on it over there. That's the southernmost island. We're on the one just north of it. It's a much smaller site, but it's plenty big enough for us. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the other one's particularly nice. So, small hill at the beginning. Comes up to a little fire pit. It's a nice little elevated lookout on the lake. And we'll be setting up. Probably Mike's hammock will go over between these two trees. I'll be on the other side. Kitchen tent will set up on this tent pad. Thunderbox is right over this little hill here. Like I said, it's a small site, but it's perfectly big for us. Perfectly big enough for us, rather. And it's close to the direction we're heading tomorrow. Oh, it doesn't feel like moving now that the camera's on.
I'm glad that we're able to do it this week and the next week too.
Yeah.
That's
So went for a swim and got camp set up. Mike's got the fire going. We're about to cook the steaks for supper. So we just got both our hammocks right here. Mike's in his new for this year setup. Gathered in 12-foot hammock, your hammock. He's got the tarp set up, so if it rains tonight, he can just flip it over and stake two stakes on the other side. I'm in the hammock. It's a 90-degree hammock with an inflatable pad for a base. And that's the campsite on Maple Lake.
For once, I'm actually awake before John. That never happens. But I'm going back to bed.
Oh, morning of day 2. It was a little colder than I expected last night, but it was fine. It looks like it's gearing up to be another beautiful morning.
I can hear my intestines growling. Not balloons. Yeah, this thing's moody. It's all good.
Saying the GoPro matches the owner?
Well, hang on a second here.
Has the GoPro had its fucking coffee? My GoPro's cunty. Out on the water for day 2. This is the day of the trip I'm pretty much the most excited for. And a fish just jumped up ahead. Basically we're going to go towards Arables Lake and then up Maple Creek. And we're going to have to do the section of Maple Creek that made us turn around a few years ago. We never found the 240 meter portage. So looking forward to trying that again. Coming up to our first portage of the morning. It's somewhere between a 1 and 200. It's, I think, bringing us to Arables or Eluded Lake.
Jonathan Mullin, Nature Man.
Making our way down the main channel of Arables Lake. Just taking it easy. Trolling a lure behind me. It's definitely going to be a warm day today. We're at the end of Arables Lake, and we're just coming into the beginning of Maple Creek, which we're going to be on for the next several hours. Something in the water up ahead, probably a beaver. We're coming up to the first portage on Maple Creek. It's a 600 meter, and then we have a 90 meter before we start the older section of Maple Creek. Yeah, I was just following a beaver that was in the water. A little bit of a hill to start. coming to the end of the 660. Wasn't particularly hard, wasn't particularly easy. Pretty standard portage. Little ups and downs. And so we got a little bit of creek and then a 90 meter. Hey Froggy, you're on YouTube. Anything you want the people to know? Well, guess not. Dragging something. Oh, what am I? So, starting to get a few mosquitoes, but still nothing to complain about. Mike said on the last portage they found him, but he went first, so I guess they just followed him, because when I went through the portage there was nothing. Cannot complain. End of July trip with no bugs. Meter, Maple Creek to Maple Creek. So we're just coming to the portage that we don't take. This one goes up, goes south. I can't remember to what lake. It goes directly. Scoose Lake. We're gonna keep going up the creek. The last time we were through here, we came down that portage from Scoose Lake, and we were gonna take Maple Creek all the way across to, I don't remember what's on the other side, 3 Mile Lake or wherever it ends. But the next portage that you have to find on Maple Creek is a 245 meter, and we never found it. We kept going, and then we essentially ran out of water. It was just boulders, and there was like a little trickle. And so we checked the GPS, and we were well past the portage on the GPS, so we backed up and we went to where the GPS shows the portage being, and there's like a landing where it looks like, you know, people have taken their boats out before, and but we went into the woods. Well, we couldn't go into the woods, it was just thick with alder, so we essentially gave up, and we did a massive detour. We went up Arab, Maple, across Rat Trap, and, you know, did a huge detour because basically we couldn't find this portage. So today we're determined we're going to find the portage.
That's it. We're looking for it. Hey Mark, you're going to see this shit now. Last time where we gave up, Edgar, remember? Well, we're going to find it.
First part of this trip, we've actually had to get out of the boat. Ground is solid. I just walked out, pulled my boat over. think this is the spot where we thought it might be a takeout, but it was on the wrong side of the river. I know we kept going past here before we gave up. Definitely not a section. Oops. Definitely not a section where you want to meet another group coming the other way. I think these rocks right here, like I said, the water was much lower last time I was through here, and I think this is where we sort of looked at our GPS, and the GPS was showing us that we had already passed the portage. What's that?
Canadian jungle.
maybe this is the spot that looks like a takeout that we... I don't remember. This looks familiar. I can't remember if we went this far last time. Beaver Dam. This also looks familiar to me. I think we saw this last time, no? Yeah, so we've already been this... Whoa! A little deeper than I expected. Man, these might have been the rocks where we gave up. And there it is. The portage sign.
You see it?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
We made it.
Yeah.
It exists.
Today, victory is ours. It's real.
So 245 Maple Creek to Maple Creek. Here's the put in. And just to show you guys what I mean, here's, I don't know if it'll show up on the phone. Here's Jeff's maps. And you see where the blue dot is, that's where we are. And you see Jeff's map shows the portage starting way back here, 245. But at least where the GPS thinks we are, the portage starts way down there. So we had given up somewhere, let's say around here, and then backtracked and went to where the spot on the GPS says it should have started, and there was definitely no portage there. So if you look on Jeff's maps, the first little, I don't know what those are, if it's a beaver pullover, the little brown spot that crosses the creek, that's basically where the portage starts. So at the end of this portage, the mosquitoes finally broke me. They're not awful, but there's just enough of them that I'm like, I don't want to put up with it. Put on a head net. Oh, looks like there's another portage here. Looks like it's just a quick pullover. Oh, didn't notice the camera's knocked over. Oh, looks like there's a little pullover portage here to avoid this little rocky creek section. So it looks like this little pullover comes to a logging road. There's a stream here. Basically just walked the canoe over that, put it in here. But the good news is it looks like from this point on we're out of the alders. So ever since that little pullover portage on the logging road, it's just been very easy, windy marsh travel. Basically try and not make wrong turns to little dead ends and work your way through the marsh. Pretty nice. Boo. try. I mean, I'm gonna try and see if that goes to the same spot because there's a tree across the. Coming up to our portage to leave Maple Creek. It goes to, I think it's Tilly Lake. It's a 900 meter. Finishing up the 900 meter from Maple to Tilly. Pretty standard portage, nothing stood out, no big blowdowns, no crazy hills or anything. And Tilly's a tiny little lake. We have like a 200 something to get out of it to North Raven. So Tilly Lake is pretty small. There's a campsite coming up here on the left. I think that far point on the left hand shore, we just go around there. And our last portage of the day into North Raven. It's a 200 something. And I've seen some people like Knocks on Woods go through there, and they said it was a pretty tough 200. So I'm assuming quite uphill. So we'll see. At the end of Tilly Lake. And coming up to the 230, I think it is. About to start. Like I said, it's a 230 meter, and it definitely starts straight uphill. And I'm assuming it's going to be mostly that and probably a big sharp downhill at the end. Oh boy. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. 230. Well, I can see the water, so that was actually much easier than I expected. Definitely a serious uphill, but it's just one steady uphill to beginning. And once you pretty much peaked it, it flattens out enough that you catch your breath as you continue walking. So not bad. No big blowdowns. So pretty easy. And this is the lake where we're staying tonight, North Raven. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but the water is absolutely gorgeous. It has sort of that green tint to it like Whiskey Jack has. Very clear, you can see well into it. And it's a nice little lake. There's 4 campsites to choose from. So we're gonna check out the sites now. First site right next to the portage. Doesn't look like much from shore. Does definitely go up into the forest, so maybe it gets nicer up there, but the front is pretty uninspiring. Coming up to the second campsite on the north side of the lake. Definitely looks a little bit better. Still pretty dark. So we ended up taking the northwestmost campsite on North Raven Lake, and we got here probably sometime around 1:30, 2 o'clock. We didn't really check the time. We just set up camp. We've been here for a while. We got, you know, fire going, and all our gear set up. I've been fishing swimming a couple times, and it's only like 4 o'clock now, so we've been here for a while. So it wasn't too bad a day. And tomorrow, though, we head to Birchcliffe. We've rented Birchcliffe cabin for a couple nights, so definitely looking forward to that. Trolling before supper, hoping to get a fish. Had something for a second, but it feels like there's nothing on my line now. The usual reach for the camera problem. Yeah, definitely no fish this time.
Shit, gotta keep you in here. Stay there. Stay there. Shit. That's what we got. Now we're gonna eat them.
I got no gloves, I got no nothing. I grabbed the yoke.
Like I said, I saw your paddle doing this. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? Oh, and a deep diver too. On one of your new $20 boats.
Yeah.
So let's see it. Oh, perfect eater. So Mike came in clutch, caught a supper. Go good with the shitty craft dinner we were gonna have.
I gotta do my pose here. Oh, poor thing. Oh, well, it's gonna be dinner.
Yeah, that's a perfect eater size too.
Yeah.
We just finished our craft dinner. Now we're trying fish 2 ways. We decided to cook half the lake trout with Old Bay, and the second half we'll make with Cajun fish crisp.